Up and running.
Okay, so what do I have to do? Sit here with me or what? And then you'll show me how to, once you get the screen share going.
I already got it turned on. There's nobody that's gotten on here yet for it.
Okay.
So this is when you hit this green button right here,
Uh-huh.
screen share, PowerPoint, share, and it'll take you right in there to it. And then to start it, you just hit this little button down here.
What little button, sorry?
This.
You're gonna do it and then try to
Yeah.
hit the arrows.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll just hit
the
that,
arrows.
and you can fly through everything from here.
You'll get me up the door.
Yeah, I'll get you to that point.
Okay, yeah. All right. I got those hidden right here. Okay, good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Good, 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 good. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. So this class basically is a follow-up to our Investing 101 class, okay? So for those of you, if you're on here and you didn't take that class, 101, that's okay. I'll be teaching it again. But in our initial class, we talked about several different things. And one of the things that we talked about is really why you wanted to invest in real estate, okay? And we kind of went through some scenarios of that. Is it residual income? There's some tax benefits for investment real estate. You can plan for retirement income, several different things that you can take advantage of if you're going to invest in real estate. Then we talked about identifying the type of property that you were interested in buying, talked about financing of the property, talked about how to know if the property was a good investment or not by looking at how to do a cap rate, talked about financing, talked about after the purchase, who's going to manage the property for you. We talked about security deposit accounts. We talked about several different things in the initial class. And today we're going to cover a couple of things, but today is really all about you, okay? This is a follow-up, and what I hope that you guys have started doing is some of you may already have investment real estate, and you're wanting to expand your portfolio. Some of you may not have started yet, and I hope you have started working on a plan to get you where you can invest. But again, one of the main things we want to talk about is the main reason you want to invest in real estate and what you're wanting to achieve, okay? So I'd like to hear from some of you guys today on kind of what has changed in your investment path, whether it's investing more money into a portfolio you already have, or what struggles are you having? I want to be able to help you guys today answer any questions that you might have. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try to find out for you. So is there any questions that you guys have that you want me to answer that we can discuss as we go through our PowerPoint and as we go through our class? The class is probably going to last about an hour, and it's going to depend on how many questions you guys have. If you don't have any questions, we'll be done pretty quickly. But if you have some questions, then I want to be sure that we help you because, we're in real estate. In the business, we can help others invest in real estate, right? Our clients, which is more business for us. And that also will help us as we go through, thank you, Dylan, as we go through starting to finance. If you're going to finance your property, your real estate sales can help you get the money to invest and help build that portfolio for you. So do any of you guys have any questions right now that you want to start off with? The floor is completely open. This is all about you guys.
I have one.
Okay, Logan.
So, we already currently have an investment property that's on a balloon note, a 7-year balloon.
Okay.
And now we're looking at a condo unit with a mortgage company right now. And doing a 5-1 or 7-1 arm at I think we're quoted at 3.3% interest. And I was curious if you would leverage yourself that much to do, have a 7-year balloon, and then you have a 5-1, basically a 5-year balloon. They said that we could always continue it, I guess, on a 5-1 or something. I don't know. I'm just curious if you would leverage yourself out that far.
So Logan, here's my advice on that. Today, the rates are so low.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they are. I know a friend of mine just locked with Homestar, at a 30-year on primary residence. Now, primary residence for 2.78, I think, something like that on FHA.
Wow.
I'll tell you what happened to my sister years ago. And some of you that have been in the business a long time, back before the market kind of, tanked in 08, 09, these balloon notes or these arms were very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so my sister and her husband bought a house. And I told her, I said, Amy, if it were me, I would be very careful with that because you don't know what the market is going to do. Well, she was of the assumption that the rate on that at that time was a little bit lower than a traditional 30-year fixed. All right. So, and then back in the day also, they would do a first and a second. A lot of times you'd come out of pocket with a lot less money. All right. Well, my sister decided to go that route. And so what happened, Logan, is over the years, okay, and I just have, now this has been, keep in mind, she's been in that house. I sold her that house probably 15 years ago, okay? So I just have helped her through Keller Mortgage get her house refinanced in today's rate. And what happened is her arm came up for renewal and the market had slowed down, or the market had gone down in value. So she was trying, her rate was adjusting, her payments were going up, and she wanted to try to refinance it. But when she went to refinance it, the value wasn't there. So now she was stuck in this balloon circle, if you will, till the market came back up. So in my opinion, Logan, if you can lock, this is me, I would lock on, especially on your investment condo. I don't know are you doing an investment or is it as a second home? I mean, I know it's kind of the same.
Investment, because we tried doing a second home, but because it's a condo tel, we can't quantify it as a second home unless they were willing to, the HOA was to sign it off as a condominium complex, not a condo tel.
Okay.
So we're having to go through an investment loan, and I don't want to put up 30%. So we're looking at an arm, and and with the bank, we're able to negotiate our down payment amount.
So do you have, is there a fixed rate long-term option for a condo tel, or is this a kind of either you do this or you don't get it type scenario?
Do this or you kind of don't get it type scenario.
Okay.
I mean, we can just go look somewhere else for a condominium or a townhouse or something like that, but we kind of like this unit specifically.
Okay. I mean, there's a cap on how high they can go, but that cap, and it's only go up so much per year after you get through your initial term. So you'll have you said it's a 3-1 arm. Is that what it is? You'll have a 3-year
5-1 arm at 3.3%.
5-1. So after 5 years, it'll go up.
Yeah.
Now, it'll adjust more than likely. And I doubt the rates are ever going to go any, I mean, who knows? We don't have a crystal ball, but I doubt the rates will go any lower than they are right now. So I would think that they will probably continue to go up. So what I would do, Logan, is just be very cautious and be prepared, because 5 years goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And be prepared that if it goes up, make sure that you're getting a good investment. This is my opinion, that you're getting what you feel you're getting a good value for the property. Okay, that you're not overpaid, because Gary Keller always teaches us we make our money when we buy the property. What does that mean? It means we don't overpay for it.
Yep.
We overpay for it, and the market tanks, we're in trouble, we sell it, we lose money, right? Or we can't get out of it, or different things happen. So make sure that you're getting what you feel is a good enough value to take this risk, okay? And know that when you go to sell a condo tel, that whoever buys it is going to have that same comfort level that you have, unless they pay cash, to go into something like that. Because you always want to know, you want to think with the end in mind, what happens if I have to sell it? Is it a sellable property? Well, it's a sellable property, but you got to find the person that has the right level of comfort, knowing they may have to get this type of loan program unless they can pay cash, right? So your pool of buyers could be a little bit smaller if you go to sell it.
Yeah.
On a balloon note, as far as your investment property on a 7-year balloon, what I would do on that, Logan, if it were me, is how long have you had it? 6, 8 months, somewhere in there? Is that
Yeah,
about?
we bought it in May or something like that.
Okay, so 3, 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
So what I would do, Logan, is after you get it stabilized under your ownership,
Mhm.
okay, and you have documents and keep really good records, okay, use either a good QuickBooks system or a good property management system. And in about a year, or when you get your first round of tax returns, they may require 2 years, that as
Mhm.
soon as you can, unless you think you're gonna have it paid off before that 7-year balloon hit.
I think we will, because we've been tripling the mortgage every month, and
Okay.
then and the interest rate I negotiated was I got 4.125
Okay, all right.
on an owner finance deal.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. Okay, that's real
Yeah.
good. So if you think you can get it paid off in
Mhm.
7 years, then you may not want to go the route of trying to get it refinanced. If at any time, give yourself enough time, if at any time you think you're not going to be able to get it paid off, just know that in the past, I've gotten caught in a bad situation with balloon notes. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just forewarning you. And you know how balloon notes work. They do
Yeah.
not have to renew a balloon.
Mm-mm.
So they could call the note due. You could get the property looking great, up and running professionally, and then in 7 years you still owe them 100 grand or whatever, and they say, 7-year balloon, we don't have to renew it. And they
Yeah.
call the note, and if you don't have that cash or can't afford to get it, or can't not afford, but can't get somebody to finance the rest of that for you, you could be in a little bit of a pickle. So
Yeah.
make sure that you keep your gas on your foot on the pedal if you're going to on that balloon to try to get it paid off in the 7 years. And about the 3rd year or 4th year at the latest, if I was you, or especially while rates are down, if you can get it financed into a long-term fixed rate deal, that's what I would do and pay off. But
Okay.
again, be aware of the time that you have, okay?
Okay.
And on the arm, just know that you're kind of playing Russian roulette a little bit.
I know. I feel like I am. I
You
did the
know,
math yesterday.
I mean, they can only go up so much, but still they
Yeah.
can continue to go up. So you just want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're prepared for all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help
Okay.
any at all?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's just, I mean, the condo we're buying, I'm not going over $100,000. So it's, I'm just trying to be very cautious of that. And I looked at the occupancy rates of the area, 56%. So, and the going rate, I'm looking at yielding after cleaning and everything, about $15,000 to $22,000 in net a year.
Okay.
So,
Well, if I were you on that, I would build
Mhm.
myself the nest egg, and I would keep, you're gonna get some, you need to talk to your accountant, you're gonna have some tax benefits, but if you net that much, even after depreciation, you may have a tax consequence. So make sure you have enough for that, make sure you have enough for the repairs that you'll be responsible for, and then I'd hammer that principal down.
okay. So much to know. This is stressful.
But it's fun. Think about it. I mean, this is the part I love. I could do this all day
I know.
long.
Well, I've started looking into apartment complexes and leveraging hard money lenders for their down payment, and then all this other stuff too. I've started reading a lot more about not using my money to invest.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of different options out there. And guys, here's the thing too. Just like Logan negotiated a 4.125% interest rate with an owner finance deal, there are people out there that will loan you money that may not do it at 4%, but they may do it at 5, 6, 7, whatever that percent is, right? Because if they go put it in the bank, they're making nothing, okay, in the bank. So there's people out there that will do things. So don't be afraid to ask around for people that might be willing to finance something for you, or even owner finance something for you. If they put their money in the bank, they're not going to get anything. So,
Yep,
okay.
I just asked, and I was surprised they took it.
Hey, I ask all the time. I've been told no so many times it don't matter. But,
I've been asking a lot lately this year. I think I've been told no about a dozen times already.
but you got a yes, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a yes.
You
I just
kept
started
being
doing it.
persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
We'll
guys.
make it off.
Anybody else
Yeah.
so far?
Well, I mean, I'm just kind of learning just general stuff. I mean, I'm buying my first house, for resident, not investment, just live in next year. So that's where I'm at currently.
Okay, all right, so you have a plan for that?
What was that?
Do you have a plan for that, Eric? You got a savings path, you got a plan, you know, kind of what your budget's gonna be, you know, okay, so you've got all that under control?
Yeah, roughly. And I'm thinking here in the next month too, because I'm planning maybe April, May next year after the girlfriend graduates, and we'll move up towards Atlanta near Emory. But
Okay.
I guess I'm going to go ahead and here in a month through this year for this year's out, start talking to VA lenders. I know they're more picky and just seeing what my options are. Because even though I'm in this industry, I'm not very knowledgeable about it as from a buyer point of view.
Well, that's okay. You've always got us as a resource, you know, so no matter what kind of property you're buying, you know, Gary Keller's statement still makes sense. You know, you make your money when you buy it. Okay. Now you may be planning on living in this house for 30 years, and that's okay. But you still want to make sure that you're getting the best value for your buck. The location is what you want, of course. Know if there's any kind of restrictions on the property that might prohibit you from leasing it out if something went wrong, or if you had to sell it, or know the owner occupancy rate if you're looking at a condo complex or a townhome complex or whatever. Of course, VA is going to make you know that anyway if you're looking for an attached, if you're looking at an attached type of property like a condo or a townhome or something like that, you're going to know that anyway. If you're looking at single family, you're probably okay, but there can still be some rental restrictions in certain neighborhoods, you know. So it sounds like you're on a good path. You know you're going to go VA, so that's 100% financing.
I mean,
You
most
already have your
likely. I mean, I don't
eligibility.
seem silly not to have, but and then I think I've talked to you a few months ago about this one house in Upton that I was thinking about buying, but I already legally have a primary residence, Colbert, just 50 minutes outside of Athens. So I'm selling that here in a few months as soon as we get for sub owner, and I've already emailed Brandon about that. So we're going to do that, and then next, you know, April, May, buy a house. So I feel like buying an investment property at the same time be juggling too many balls for me at this point in the game.
That's okay. One step at a time, you know, one step at a time. I mean, anybody that I know of that builds a real estate portfolio or any kind of portfolio, stocks or whatever, you know, you start and you may buy one type of stock, or you may diversify by 2 or 3. If you have $1,000 to invest, you may buy 300 in one, 300 in another, and 400 in another, whatever. But it's always good to have people that you can talk to that have knowledge and experience in whatever you're looking at. Same thing in real estate. You know, get your personal residence, so that's what you're looking to do. Then start saving up, knowing when you get ready to buy an investment property, depending on what type and depending on what type of financing, you're typically going to look at between 25 to 30% down on an investment property, typically. Okay. There's other things out there, but I'm talking about just typically, if you go to a mortgage company and say, I want to buy a rental house, they're going to want 20 to 30% down. Sometimes they'll even want more if you don't have experience. I'll give you an example. So I was talking to SBA yesterday about looking for a mini storage complex, and they have different loan programs. But one program is if you have experience in mini storage in this particular loan, if you have experience in mini storage, they require 10% down. If you don't have any experience, they require 15% down and a pretty extensive feasibility study, unless it's an existing property up and running. But if you want to do a new business, a feasibility study they would require will actually do a market analysis, if you will, of the area that you're wanting to build a property in. So what I'm saying about experience also holds true sometimes in the mortgage industry. If you can prove you've got experience, they may want 20%. If you don't, they may say, no, this is more of a risk, we're going to require 30%. That's something you want to talk to a lender as you start preparing, as you go down that path to look for investment property. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. And that leads us to our next slide. You know, your barriers of entry. Sometimes it's lack of experience. Sometimes it's money. You know, a lot of times what holds people back in real estate is they think they don't have the money to put down or to get into the investment side of real estate. And that's why in our Investment 101 class, remember we talked about a plan and a path, a savings plan, a path to get you there. So you know, you may not be able to rush out today and buy one. It may be 12 months. And you know that you're wanting to buy a $150,000 property as an easy number, and you're going to have 30% down. You know, between now and 12 months, you've got to save $45,000 for that property just for the down payment. And then they're going to want some reserves too. So that's why anytime you're investing or getting ready to invest, you have a path and a roadmap to help you get there. Okay. So has anybody else been looking at anything that has experienced any kind of issues of getting you into the property besides funds or experience? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Barriers of entry?
It's just a general question. I know, like, for example, like BA, you can use it, Peely, but you're going to use it for your primary residence. So in certain things, I'm guessing, like, I'm sure any mortgage, if you already have a primary residence, the rates for a secondary or an investment property are going to be different than if it's listed as your primary residence.
Typically a little bit. Right now rates are so low, but if you do a second home, it won't be as high as an investment property. Okay, but if you're doing something like Logan's looking at doing, which is going to be more of an investment property, okay, he's not really classifying it as a second home, if I understand correctly. His rate may be a little bit more expensive, than a little bit higher than if it was his second home, right? Or he may have to do a different program like he's doing with the ARM program.
Okay, I don't know. A lot of times there's rules and things aren't exactly black and white. But even a Logan situation, if it's really an investment property, why wouldn't you just call it your second home or as a vacation home? Why wouldn't you? What would be the benefits and pros and cons to that?
We are calling it a second home, but the banks are looking at it because it's a condotel. It's a resort, so we're trying to keep it in the second home conversation with them, but we're having to do an ARM just because it's a resort.
Okay, yeah.
So we did get approved. We did get approved for a second home loan through Homestar, which I was going that route because it's 10% down on a second home, and I think our rate was like 3.8. But now we're having to switch to an ARM. But we're having to. The hardest thing about condotels, and what's identified a condotel is that they have staff managing a front desk, and they have cleaning staff too. So that quantifies it as a condotel, which then changes loan and lender stuff and rates and all the other stuff. So we're still looking in the second home market as well. Just, I don't know, a lot of stuff I'm learning.
So on the condotel, do they manage it for you, Logan?
They offer it, not at the place that we're at. The place that we're looking at, they don't offer it because it's a little bit older. We've stayed there 3 times in the past 2 years, and so we kind of have a somewhat emotional attachment to it. Not me, my wife does more than I do. I could care less where we buy one, as long as it brings money. Yeah, as long as it brings money, that's all I care about. But yeah, it's just it's hard. It's actually really hard learning all this stuff and trying to build a portfolio with less knowledge. And so I do jump on this because I appreciate it. It's really hard, you know, and I've learned that it's more trial and error and continually asking and having conversations with a lot of different people, that like different lenders. I've talked to probably 7 or 8 different lenders about the types of loans before even allowing one to pull my credit and getting the ball rolling. You know, that is another thing I've learned is, you know, kicking a lot of rocks around just to find where I want to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's exactly right, because you want to have it. It's a big investment, you know, and when you're an owner of a property, whether it's your primary or you're a landlord, there's going to be costs associated with it either way you go. You're going to be the one, you can't pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, my ears broke, come fix it. You know, that falls on you, you know, and that's one thing that I was talking to somebody about the other day. They actually called me and wanted to buy a complex somewhere. And I said, okay. And I went through some things. And I told them, I said, if you're not familiar with that area, which they were not, or from that area, I said, one thing that I did when I used to own property in Florida. The first thing I did when I owned condos in Florida, I had a list of contractors, trusted contractors, and I did what Logan did with the mortgage side. I did with asking around people, who do you recommend for a plumber? Who do you recommend for an HVAC? Who do you recommend for a cleaner, a carpet cleaner, general maintenance, so on and so forth. And I found those things out because it never fails. What's going to happen is that Saturday at 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, a property in Florida, your air conditioner is going to go out. And you're going to have a tenant that is hot in two ways, temperature and then hot under the collar, because they're paying for a property. And you've got to have somebody that you can trust and build a relationship with to go out there and take care of those things for you. So there's a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to take into consideration, but it's just like we always say, eat the elephant one bite at a time. And like Logan said, there's a lot of things that are trial and error. I learned from the School of Hard Knocks a lot, you know, and it's cost me dearly sometimes. And then I've made some really good decisions and made some good choices, but I've had my fair share of bad ones also, you know. So, you know, that's why you want to be real cautious, not so cautious to the point that you won't buy an investment property. That's not what I'm saying, but you just want to have your plan in place and know about everything that's involved with it. And what you're going to do is you run into a challenge. Okay. Another thing is eviction laws. Okay. I'm sure you've seen all over the news. They have, the CDC this time has enacted a no eviction policy right now across the United States. All right. Now, there's a few things that tenants are supposed to do to be eligible for that. If the landlord violates that right now and doesn't follow a proper protocol, it's a federal offense for the landlord. But if you're a tenant, you know, and if you're a landlord and you have a tenant that says, oh, I'm not going to pay and you can't kick me out, that's not necessarily true right now. Okay. They have to prove to you that they have been harmed by COVID. And how do you prove that? I don't know. I guess they have to make a statement. They have to also prove that they are seeking federal aid or aid to pay their rent payment. They also have to show that if you were to kick them out, they would basically either be homeless or live in a property that would be more than the legal limit per bedroom. I think it's 2 or something like that. And there was one other stipulation. I forgot what it was. Let's see. No, I think that was it. And if they abide by those and they prove that they have been harmed by COVID, they've lost their job or whatever, they've asked for financial aid and they don't have anywhere else to go, then you can't kick them out. That doesn't mean that their rent is negated. Their rent still piles up and continues to go. You know, doesn't mean the landlord's going to get stuck with it, although it's been my experience that most people, when they get behind on rent, they can't catch up, not at least 3 or 4 months. But if they prove to you that they've followed those guidelines, you cannot kick them out. If they do not prove that they followed those guidelines, you can file for eviction as long as your county is doing eviction. Now, what's different this time than when it was a couple of months ago that they enacted this eviction moratorium is then the one before basically said, all right, Mr. Landlord, you can't evict right now if your property is funded by a Freddie or Fannie or government-backed loan. Because what was supposed to happen then was, if that was the case, and I've got a property of 40 units and my tenants aren't paying and my mortgage was a Fannie Mae, Freddie or government-backed loan, I could go to them and say, hey, my tenants are struggling, I can't afford to pay you. And then they would give me a mortgage abatement, or not a mortgage abatement, but a mortgage, they would stop my mortgage for so many payments. It still accrues, but that was how it was before. So it didn't affect people like me. Now it affects people like me and Logan that have rental property and everything else. Okay. But so you just got to know those things and stay on top of that, you know. And I don't know if you guys ever watched, there's a guy named John Adams on Fox 5 News, and he'll be on there a couple of times a week. And he was talking about this, and he was saying, you know, the poor landlord just because you own property doesn't mean that you have this stack of cash over there that you can continue to feed and make payments and do all this stuff on your property. And he was saying, we're still responsible for paying property tax, property insurance. The state of Georgia says if you have a property that you are required to maintain it, you cannot cut off their utilities if they're in your name. So you just have to know these things going up front. And I'm not an expert by any means. Like I said, I've learned through the school of hard knocks. I had a guy in one of my properties that stayed in there. Last time, I wasn't a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac mortgage, but White County had stopped the evictions. So it took us about 6 months before I could get him out. Normally, under normal circumstances, you can get them out in about 14 to 21 days, unless they contest the eviction, and then it takes a couple more days. But so he owes me $9,000. Okay, of course, I'll never see that. But anyway, so you just have to know some of the challenges, and that's not to scare you. That's just to help educate you. So as you see these things on TV and what they're talking about, you can kind of understand them. Okay. So anyway, and we kind of talked about how you're going to overcome these. You need a path, right? You're going to need a path to what you're trying to accomplish. What's your end result? Know what it's going to take to get into it. And then know what you're going to do when you get into it. Management, who's going to manage it, reserve account, how you're going to screen your tenants, things of that nature, which we talked about in 101 more extensively. All right, now we keep talking about a plan. All right, so, and I think I've told y'all this before, and it's a really good practice. All right, I keep a updated personal financial statement at all times. A lot of times my personal financial statement doesn't change that much unless I buy a property or I sell a property. This year I've sold 2 properties this year. All right, I'm about to sell a 3rd property, but I'm going to buy another. But that's going to be one thing they want to see is an accurate, updated financial statement. And I always do one at the beginning of every year, and I compare it to the one I had the year before to make sure that my net worth is going up and not going down, right? So that's a very good habit to do that. So as you start looking through this, get your financial statement updated and keep it updated. Okay. We've talked about sources of sources of residual income. Profit share is a great one. If you guys haven't attended a profit sharing class, we teach them here at the Market Center. Patricia teaches them, Judy Presley teaches them. I would recommend that you get involved with that. For the last 3 or 4 months, I've gotten over $1,000 in profit share a month, which that's nice. That's nice to get, and then as your plan, like we talked about in 101, what type of real estate are you investing in? Eric, you said you're wanting to buy your personal residence first. That's great. There's certain things you need to do to get ready for your personal residence. Logan, you're looking at a second home investment property. That's a condo deal. As you found out, there's certain requirements and certain things you got to do to qualify for those types of properties. If you're looking at multifamily, that's a completely different thing, because unless you go, and there's a lot of different financing out there, guys. I mean, the biggest problem people have that you hear is they don't have the initial cash injection to get into a property, whether it's a single home as an investment or whether it's a 30, 40, 50 unit multifamily deal. Okay, so you just have to, it may be that you bring in an investor with you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, you just want to make sure that you have an operating agreement with whoever you go in business with. So if something happens to that person, you know what's going to happen between you and the estate. All right, so you just want to be prepared, knowledgeable, and ready to go. So when you pull that trigger, you can hit the ground running and you've got all the resources that you need. Okay, and I'm always here to help you. Like we talked about before, SBA, Small Business Administration, that's good for businesses. Like mini storage, for example, marina, things of that nature. So there's different sources of financing options out there, private lending, hard money lending. So don't let the money thing scare you. You just need to know what it's going to cost you to get into it and then tackle that to get into the property. Okay. And then, like we talked about in 101, is the property a good investment? All right. Well, how do you know? All right. Well, you do the best you can going into the property. You want to know what your cap rate is. We talked about cap rates before. If you guys ever have issues or questions on a cap rate, let me know and I'll be glad to work one with you. Okay. Cap rate does not take into consideration any mortgage debt that you have on the property. All right. So when you're looking at a property and it's an 8% cap rate, that does not take into account a mortgage. You want to make sure if you're going to be mortgaging your property, that you take that into consideration for you as you make sure that it's going to work for what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, and I had a quick question, kind of in line, kind of out of line, but with what you're saying. But like as far as using like primary residence, you trying to kind of like walking the line, so to speak. But like that, my primary residence I haven't lived in at all, but it's my primary residence, and I rent somewhere else because my sister's and a bunch of family stuff. But and I'm trying to look online because all the information out there is just hard to find sometimes. But in Georgia, the first $250,000 profit is tax free if it's your primary residence. Two out of the last 5 years, is my understanding. I don't know if y'all knew about any details on that or where I can find better information.
That's going to be something you want to talk to your accountant about. Now, I thought they had, let's see, and I think there's a couple of other things too on your primary residence that you can take into consideration. I believe, Eric, that is still the case. I do believe, now if you're married, I think it's close to double that, if not double that, but if it's just you, then yes. And there used to be, no matter what you made, and I may be wrong, I think Debbie's on here. Debbie may remember this. But if even if you invested like into a larger property, I think there are some different guidelines there too. I am not sure because I sold my primary residence this year and I did not have to worry about that because I didn't make that much on it. I think 60 or 70 is all I made on it. But yes, you definitely want to know about that too before you go and sell. See, my problem right now is the property I'm getting ready to sell. And like I told y'all the last time, guys, when I tell y'all something about what I'm experiencing, it's not that I'm saying I have this and I have that. That's not the point. What I'm trying what I'm hoping I'm teaching you guys is what I'm dealing with in my experience so that you will understand some of the things you may face. For example, if I sell this rental property that was supposed to close this coming Friday, but title works behind, blah, blah, blah. If I don't 1031, that means I don't do a 1031 tax deferred exchange, which that's another class. If you guys are going to invest in real estate that you ought to take one day is how to take advantage of a 1031 exchange. If I just sell this property and I do not take a 1031 exchange benefit, I do not exchange it for another property, then my tax ramification is going to be at least $300,000. All right. Now, that's hard, right? So I don't care if they close or not, to be honest with you. I actually told them that this morning. I said, we can close in 2 months, 6 months, don't close. I don't care because I can't find anything to buy. I'm having a hard time with it. But so you always want to know, Eric, or anybody on here, you always want to know when you go to sell your property, primary or investment, before you do that, talk to your CPA. You need to have a good CPA in your back pocket that you know and trust that you can call and say, hey, I've got a question. I'm going to sell this. What ramifications am I going to have as far as taxes go? Okay. So I'm going to take advantage of my plan is to take advantage of a 1031 exchange is what I plan on doing. Okay. If I don't, then I've shot myself in the foot. This is another lesson of hard knocks. Okay. So I hope I don't have to go down that road. But so you just want to, and I talked to my accountant before I sold it. I knew it. I just didn't think I'd have this much of a hard time finding what I'm looking for. But turns out I am. So it is what it is. But so you just want to know what's going to take place or what consequences you're going to face if you sell something, no matter what it is. That's my recommendation. Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. Any questions on we've kind of touched on a lot of this already. Any questions on now that you're ready to purchase, how you're going to complete the purchase? What we're talking about is financing, inspections, what kind of feasibility studies if you're doing a business, or if you're buying a piece of raw dirt and you're wanting to build something on it, what's going to be required of you, or what do you want to have checked out prior to purchasing it to make sure that when you buy a piece of property, you can build a complex on it, that the ground is suitable for that. Any questions on any of that?
I guess for the most part, like, you know, if you have a lender or whoever you work with, then they pretty much walk you through it. If you have one you trust, you develop a relationship with, and they pretty much know all the ins and outs, and you just follow their lead more or less. Just have to ask the questions, basically.
You always want to ask the questions, and keep in mind, Eric, that a lot of times lenders have a checklist and they're going to look at it. Okay, title ordered, appraisal ordered, phase one environmental or feasibility, and they'll look at it. They may not, most of the time their underwriting department or somebody is going to understand the reports that they get back, but you need to understand that too. So that, and how do you do that? Well, you talk to a contractor, you talk to a grader, you talk to whoever you need to talk to if there's an issue with a piece of property you're buying. I went and looked at a property the other day and I took a grader down there with me. I thought I'd hit a home run. I said, I think I'm going to go ahead and buy this property. And I said, I think it's got some topo issues, you know, it's steep. I'm not sure how steep. So would you meet me down here and tell me what my development costs are going to be? And he did. And we got down there, and I mean, it was steep, you know, and I said, oh, that ain't going to work. You know, there's going to be way too much development costs. So luckily I didn't go into any kind of an agreement that was going to cost me any kind of money, because I knew I could trust that guy to say, look, Matthew, your development cost on this is going to be 3 times more than the property down the street. Now, the property down the street was quite a bit more expensive. Of course, I knew there was a reason, but still, you know, you want to have trusted resources of people that will guide you and help advise you as you go through this process. Okay. Any other comments or questions on that?
Oh no, that was everything on that anyway.
Okay. All right. So this is something that only you guys can answer. What are your next steps? What are your next steps to accomplish what you want to accomplish? What's your timeline? Okay. Like you talked about, Eric, a minute ago, probably May of next year, give or take a month, you're going to be wanting to buy your personal residence. So you know, in approximately 8 months, you're going to be buying a home for you and your girlfriend down at the Emory area, right? Okay. So start preparing now to do that. All right. Accountability. What does accountability mean in investment real estate? Well, again, what happens a lot of times, guys, is there's people that want to do and invest in real estate, and then there's people that do invest in real estate. Well, what's the difference between the two? Well, the people that want to are, a lot of times they're nervous because they haven't ever done it, or they're worried about the money, or they've been told so many times, you know, that's hard, you can't do it, whatever. So don't listen to the naysayers out there, okay? Find an accountability partner if you're going to be doing something, and say, look, my goal is to have I want to buy a property a year. I want to buy a residential rental house every year, all right, for the next 5 years, all right? And have somebody to help keep you on track, because if you don't, time goes by so fast, right? Time goes by so fast, and before you know it, you're 3 years into it and you still haven't bought one, or maybe you bought one, but you should have had 3. I'm not telling you to jump into it. I'm just telling you to plan, and then make sure you have somebody that you can talk to and ask and say, how are you doing it? What are you doing? Oh, I could learn this, or I could learn that. You know, so just have somebody there to help you stay accountable on your path to help you get where you want to go, right? So, and this is fun real estate to me. Okay, I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this. I will help you guys any way that I possibly can. And we say, how bad do you want it? Why do I put this slide in there? Again, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. You know, it's not going to be, if it was easy, every agent in real estate probably would have an investment property. It's not going to be easy. It's not always going to be hunky-dory. You just sit by and wait for the check to come in the mail or the check to be deposited into your account, you know. So you just got to stay the course and know how bad do you want it. If you know you've got to put down $50,000 on a property that you want to buy, then you may have to sell 6 more houses outside of your normal income for your budget to be able to come up with that down payment. So how bad do you want it? Come up with a plan to do that. I know I keep saying come up with a plan, but there's a reason. You know, there's a reason. The complex that I'm looking to sell, I started looking at this property about 4 years ago. Well, probably longer than that now because I've owned it almost 2. So about 6 years ago, give or take, whatever. I started looking at that property back then, tried to buy it and I couldn't, right? But I stayed the course. I told the owner, when you get ready to really sell it, let me know. Lo and behold, one day I got a phone call. I always stayed in contact with her though. Well, and then I got a phone call from her and she said, I think you can buy it now. It's in trouble. I said, okay, great. So I had to be prepared for when that day came, right? And I had to do some shifting around on some things to make it happen fast, but I got it done. You know, I wanted it. I wanted that. And I don't like somebody tell me no. Just like you can't listen to the people that say no. My parents, you know, they say, well, I don't know why you buy residential. We always wanted to, we never did. But why didn't you? You know, well, my dad didn't want to be bothered at 10 o'clock at night with a stopped up toilet. Well, that's why he didn't buy it. It doesn't bother me to get a phone call. I'll send a plumber out there. Okay. So you just, how bad do you want it? No, there's going to be some challenges, but no, there's a lot of benefits and rewards to it. Okay. So timeline, accountability, and don't listen to what your barriers of entry are. You figure out those barriers of entry and you don't worry about it. You work to break through those barriers. Okay. All right. Anything else, guys? This is all about y'all. I know we've kind of gone through some things. I'm here for questions and comments and love to hear kind of where you guys are. What has changed from the time we had the class last month, 101, to now? Have y'all made any progress into what you're trying to accomplish for this year? Is it this year that you're wanting to do? Maybe it's next year like Eric. Logan, I know you're buying a condo hotel. You know, I know you bought another property in May. You know, so as long as you keep moving forward, you'll eventually get there. But if you stop, you'll never get to the end, right? Any questions, guys?
Oh, no, but it's been great. Like last time, learning little bits and pieces as we go along.
This class, I think 101 has a lot more. There's a lot of things that we talk about there, including cap rates and things of that nature. This is really just, all this is, guys, is really just a follow-up to answer any questions that you have and just to make sure that you're still moving down the track to get to your destination. That's what it is. And like I said, by no means do I know everything, but I'll always be here to help you if I can. I'll answer any questions I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know, but let's call so-and-so. We'll see if we can figure that out. You know? So, but rates are low now. And, you know, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have tried to find anybody a rental property or even a mini storage to rent or even a boat slip at a marina. I mean, home sales are strong, rates are low, rents are high, and I'll caution you on this, all right? With rents being high and occupancy being high, and you're looking at cap rates on apartments, a lot of people are selling things now because they can get a lot more money for it than if the rental market is not strong. So you, as a seller, that's great. As a buyer, you want to be cautious of that. You know, when you start analyzing a property, no matter if it's a single unit or if it's a 50 unit, you know, you don't want to analyze it. They're going to send you a rent roll and a pro forma and all this other stuff based on 95, 98%. And they're going to say, well, it's been that way for the last 12 months. Well, that's okay. All right. That's fine. Real estate does this, right? It goes up and down. It's a cycle. All right. You got to make sure that when you drop to 80% occupancy, that you can still, or if your rental house is vacant for 2 or 3 months, that you can still afford to maintain and carry that property. That's why when you go on a multifamily property, a lot of times, no matter if it's been full for a year or 2 years or whatever, they still will underwrite it based on an 80 to 85% occupancy. Fannie Mae, in order for you to finance an existing complex, Fannie and Freddie right now, you have to be above 90% occupancy for 3 months consistently. You say, oh, well, that's easy. Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, one day you're 100%, and the next day you got 3 people breaking your lease, and you just went down to 84% or whatever. So you just want to know those things going in. But like I said, I'm here to help you with anything that I can. Do you guys have anything else that you want to talk about today?
Yeah, it just seems like it's been us, the Three Musketeers.
Me, you, and Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Debbie, I thought Debbie was on here. What happened to Debbie? But anyway, like I said, anything that y'all need help with, you let me know, and I'll always be here to help you. I'm proud of you guys for moving down the road and looking at things and getting ready to buy another your personal residence. I know you've got one. Logan, I'm proud of you. I know you've talked over the last couple of years about buying investment properties and things of that nature, and you're making it happen, and I'm proud of that too. So.
Oh, thanks.
Anything I can do to help y'all, I will. You know that. So.
Well, enjoyed it, or at least I did anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it helps because now I got to really rethink if I really want to go forward with this condo deal or just wait till the recession happens or something. I don't know.
and here's the thing. You know, we never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen.
No.
You know. I don't know if you heard. Let's see. Gary Kent. Let's see. Was it Gary who interviewed Brad Inman? Was it Josh Teams last week on Maybe?
I think it was Jay, wasn't it?
Might have been. Anyway, They were saying that they feel like in 2021 that we're going to have another great year. You know?
Yeah, I think, and that's where I'm torn too, because I feel like the values are going to keep going up because nobody's listing right now, and so it's just that lack of inventory is causing prices.
Yeah. You know, I heard that the statistic that Gary said, this really shocked me. I did not know this. But Gary says from 99 to 2017 that there were only 3 or 4 months in that whole time period that we had less than 4 months worth of inventory on the market. Now, from 2017 till today, it's been 22 months that we've had less than 4 months worth of inventory. In other words, you're right, Logan. The inventory, there's not a whole lot of inventory out there. Hence why I'm having a heck of a time finding something to replace my property with, why we're having to pay, chop money for rent, why people are getting 8 offers on houses. It's tough. And Gary's right. You can, as long as you're getting a decent deal, you're going to be able to use it with your family and things of that nature. It's probably good. But anything can change. Nobody expected 9/11. We can predict all we want, but we don't know what'll happen.
All right. Well, thanks, Matthew. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. And if y'all need something, let me know. I'm always here to help you. Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.